It was actually way cooler than I expected it to be.
Wow, this is very intuitive.
That was cool. Oh, I did it!
Unbelievable.
That was really fun, and that was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Welcome to Upward with Transfr, where we tackle our evolving workforce and how educators, governments, and industries are changing to keep up. We're dedicated to building effective pathways for workers and job seekers to get the skills they need to get into well-paying careers in high-growth industries. Our part in that is designing and distributing hands-on simulations that learners can use to explore new career options and develop core skills before entering an in-person vocational training program. Transfr simulations augment human educators, broadening their range of classroom possibilities without expensive facilities build-outs or specialized equipment. I'm Jack Sislak, Editorial Director at Transfr, and your host for this episode. This episode picks up during a robust conversation with Amanda Longtain, Economic Development Director here at Transfr, where we're discussing rapid training programs and how a combination of VR simulations and other services can help job seekers get involved in new careers more quickly and why that matters. Let's jump in.
Yeah, one of the things that I am most excited about right now that's happening in the United States is the recognition of short-term training programs. At Transfr, we call them rapid training programs. But I love this idea that you can really design a freestanding turnkey program with the use of hybrid learning, so different modalities. And these training programs can be stood up at a library system. They can be stood up at a workforce development board. They can be stood up in night school. That's the part that gets me really excited, is that states are really starting to understand the value in these short-term training programs. They're putting money behind these short-term training programs. And that really creates a unique space for us to Transfr, because it's something that we can do really well. Knowing how important virtual reality can be for all learning styles, and coupling that with other ways of learning, whether it's e-learning or it's out of VR experiences. I'm really excited that we can design these programs with the same end goal in mind, which is to get people employed, to move the needle, to ensure that our capitalist economy continues to thrive, and that we can fill in all of these workforce deficits. The other thing that I'm really excited about is that the narrative is beginning to shift around the skilled trades. It is a long time coming.
Yeah, well, you were talking about that before with the wood shops and stuff like that. I was going to say, the skilled trades are, I don't know if they're cool yet, but they're getting cooler. But yeah, please finish your thought.
They're making a comeback. For sure. I mean, I think so. I was in wood shop when I was in middle school. I was so picked on all of the time. I was the only girl in wood shop. I was the only girl that chose to play a stand-up bass, very reflective of the strong relationship that I had with my dad. So again, back to that sense of belonging and all of the reasons why Amanda felt like she never fit in. But there are so many Amandas across the country. The other piece that is super duper exciting is the hands-on instruction. So whether we're talking about the hands-on instruction in a headset, or we're talking about hands-on instruction in career and technical education, for our neurodivergent learners who have a really hard time sitting still, it is perfect for them. And my passion behind education actually started with project-based learning about 17 years ago. That's the pedagogy that I was trained in. That's the pedagogy that I use when I design programs. VR, it's phenomenal. And it is, again, appropriate for all learning styles. Students feel engaged. They feel agency. The other piece is what we can do on the adult learner side of the equation. Transfr is really starting to understand the differences between our learners. So when we're talking about K through 12 learners, it's really about that extrinsic motivation, the gold star, the pat on the back, my parents are proud. Adult learners, it is about intrinsic motivation. They want to understand why. What am I going to get out of this? One of the examples that I like to provide is the resource of YouTube. That is the perfect space for adults. You go in there with a very specific goal in mind, like, I want to learn how to fix the plumbing under my sink. and it is direct instruction that can be guided by the learner. That's another part of the short-term training piece that's really exciting for us, is that because an adult learner is driven by that intrinsic motivation, we can say, not only are you going to have a high quality learning experience, but you're also going to get a credential. We are also going to help you secure a job, which in turn, enables you to meet all of those basic needs, which generates more hope and belonging.
Totally.
But the other piece is that we're going to do it fast, which is really important for adults.
Yes, having a packaged up kind of program that places can roll out pretty quickly and efficiently. Oh yeah, that's huge. Adults don't want to hear that they are 5 years away from X amount of a job X or Y. They want to hear, hey, how can I make an impact in my life? In a reasonable amount of time, but that you can live, that you'll live to see, versus however far in the future. I also wanted to say, I thought it was a really interesting call out from before with the wood shop and your struggles there as a young student, which is something I've heard from our Texas plug, our Trio, our client and partner out there in Texas, Trio Electric. We were talking about how some students that are not in the traditional group of dudes who would be into electrical construction training are using the headset, and they're finding that more other people are getting involved, and that's, I think, a huge step in the right direction in terms of making the skilled trades cool and making them available for everybody.
Yes, I love making the skilled trades cool is everything. Totally. We had to work really hard when I was at a high school campus, and I spent a lot of time designing work-based learning programs and pre-apprenticeship programs before they were called pre-apprenticeship programs. And it was so interesting to me when I did a landscape analysis regarding how students felt about the skilled trades. Their perceptions were so grossly inaccurate. It's like plumbing is always associated with dirty work. It's not. I mean, plumbing really needs to be associated with new construction, as an example.
Pipes that have literally never been used. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was really interesting for me as a parent and as an educator to sort of uncover all of these false narratives and and ask questions like, where did you get that information from? And it just sort of perpetuates. And so the career exploration piece of what we do at Transfr, it is huge and can really change the trajectory of a student's life, especially when they are given the information that they need through that simulated experience to make an informed decision about their future. That's a big piece that we're missing. One of my colleagues many years ago called it reverse ageism, where we make all of these assumptions about our learners. We make assumptions about high schoolers, that they're not mature enough to make informed decisions. They're not ready to get college credit, without recognizing that so many of our high schoolers are non-traditional students that are already taking care of their families, that have these massive responsibilities outside of school, and they are adults and they are capable of making informed decisions. And more than anything, we need to view that expertise, acknowledge where they come from, and support them as they dream outside of the 4-year narrative, because they need to make money. Full stop.
Well, and I think we come up against this on almost every single one of these calls and in a lot of other stuff here at Transfr. Yeah, the 4-year college or bust mentality, that's busted. That's over. We're not doing that anymore.
No, absolutely
not. Not everybody's caught up with that.
You're right.
We've touched on this a lot, and I just wanted to pivot to this second to last question and just ask if there's any other ways you want to bring up that you think Transfr is leading the way when it comes to helping change mindsets and help people from all backgrounds get into well-paying jobs through these non-traditional pathways like we've been talking. If there's anything you haven't mentioned yet that you want to mention.
I love the way that our people on the ground really practice advocacy.
Cool.
There's so much passion that comes out of our staff at Transfr.
For sure.
There's so much experience. That's one of the parts about this work that gets me really jazzed, is that we all have a mission.
Yeah.
And we're all pushing this forward as mission-driven, human-centric people. And I love watching other people at Transfr spread the gospel. I love getting on calls and watching, Taj, as an example, walk the walk. I love getting on calls and listening, about how we're changing the way that employers are training. The other piece that's really important is that return on investment. And the fact that because we are an innovative company and we are not a bureaucracy, we have the pleasure of being able to really ideate and see if things work.
Yes.
That's a really exciting piece of what we do. And it comes out in our creative pieces. It comes out in Barani and the way that he speaks to audiences. You can just feel that hope and inspiration in all of us because we've seen it work. We've seen it change lives. In Texas alone, I have had the pleasure of working alongside so many workforce development boards, and they have exposed over 10,000 kids in the state of Texas to the skilled trades using our phenomenal simulations. That in itself is transformative work. For the first time, these kids have the experience and language that they need to say, yes, that's what I want to do with my life.
Love it. And hey, so last question gets even bigger picture. What's our vision like of a future where more people with non-traditional backgrounds are getting into more roles across the country? Like, what does this look like big picture, long term?
Big picture, long term, one of the most important things that we can do at Transfr is very much in line with what I just described, which is advocacy. Yeah. We have the wherewithal and the knowledge and the passion to really advocate on behalf of our partners and to advocate on behalf of our learners. Yeah. And everything that we do feels like a piece of advocacy. It feels like we are working to increase access and equity to ensure that no one falls through the cracks. When I think about the landscape of what is possible for Transfr, I think about all of these anchor organizations across the United States that can use our technology to change lives. Yeah. So building out these ecosystems and these partnerships and really advocating on behalf of what the employers really need. And what our learners really need and what our families really need.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of times when politics get in the way, those voices get smaller and smaller and smaller. But our job as a company is to ensure that they don't get smaller. Yeah. And we are using megaphones and, screaming from rooftops and mountaintops and saying things like, I see you. I see you and we are going to help you and we are going to help you in real time. We're going to get you a career. If you are an intermediary or a partnership organization, we're going to save you time and money. Yes. And we're going to add so much value to the great work that you already do by using this incredible technology because again, it's appropriate for all learning styles. If you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, if you have experience, if you don't have experience, it doesn't matter because our technology is great for everyone.
All right, wow, that's an awesome place to wrap things up. Thanks so much to Amanda for taking us through some of the ways VR can help fast-track people into new careers, and a big thanks to you, all of our listeners, for being here as well. Definitely come back soon and join us again on Upward with Transfr. Bye-bye, everybody.